Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fahzaly Advice. I truly do appreciate those of you that have been supporting, watching, and have been part of this journey. For this podcast means the absolute world to me, and it is my way of helping others realize that our mental health is just as important as our physical health, and that there is no shame in talking about it. So thank you. Thank you all so very, very much for everything. Now then, let's get on into our first submission, which is brought to us by Unapologetically Single. And they write, Dear Fahza, I am a single lady in my early 40s. I am unmarried and child-free and loving it. Now, I am by no means someone who shies away from enjoying myself. I love going to bars, clubs, and love checking out new restaurants. I also enjoy art and even a relaxing hike. And more often than not, I enjoy going by myself. I do have friends I meet up with weekly, but I enjoy my independence and I have a lot to see and do. Recently, at my favorite bar, there was a young man who approached me and attempted to flirt with me. I promptly told him I am not interested and I would like to be alone. He responded with, if I wanted to be alone, then why was I at a bar? I was not only annoyed, but confused by this young man's dismissal of me and my refusal, but also stating that me being at a bar alone insinuated that I was on the prowl for a man. I stood up and walked away from the young man, only to hear him say I was overreacting. I am at this moment writing this completely livid by this young man's behavior and statements. Was I overreacting? Does this young man say have any validity? And is this a normal thought process? I could use some clarity here, Fahza. I am confused. Sincerely, Unapologetically Single. Now then, let me start this off by saying thank you for your submission. I truly do appreciate it. Now, Unapologetically Single, there will be many people that have many different opinions on this particular subject, and I have my own. So I want you to realize that this is an opinion, and in that regard, it being an opinion should be taken with a grain of salt. Now, me personally, what I truly do believe in this particular situation is 1, you did not overreact. And 2, no, this young man has absolutely no validity in what they say. Just because you are at a bar alone enjoying yourself does not mean that you need a companion. And it does not mean that you were out there looking for one either. That is something that is insinuated by that particular individual, and seems to be that own particular individual's issue, from what I can gather in this submission, though a lot of this is based off of assumption because I was not there in that particular situation, and every situation needs to be taken with context and nuance. We can't let one situation allow for us to assume that every situation is the same, as easy as that might be for us to do. But now, in this particular situation, of course, is this a normal thought process? Sadly, the truth of the matter is, more often than not, yes, it is. But that is not exactly excusable. Just because it is a common thought process does not make it right. Just because this was something that was perpetuated by the media does not make it right. Nobody out there needs to be in a relationship. You are not here to fulfill anybody's expectations, nor are you here to fulfill anybody's expectations on whom you should be or where you should be or any of those regards, because this is your life. So why should you worry about what anybody else has in an opinion to that particular regard when you're not interested in them, you're not looking, and thus, why should it matter to them when they were never going to be part of your life in that way? And if that's what they wanted, well, maybe they should be looking elsewhere, not at somebody who is happily single. which there is nothing wrong with that. There may be people out there that will say otherwise, but I will tell you this right now. In my opinion, one, there is nothing wrong with being happily single, just like there is nothing wrong with looking for a relationship. It just depends on where you are in life, and not everybody is at that stage in life or will ever be at a point in life that they want to be in a relationship, and that's okay. We don't need everyone to be the same. There's no guidebook to life. There's no what's the word that I'm looking for here? There's no standard that you have to fulfill or you have to be, because who would that standard be for if not for yourself? For this is your life, is it not? Why live it for the others? Why live it for the opinions? Live it for you. So, no, you are not overreacting. And you have every right to be angry at this situation, because how dare this young man insinuate that you are out there looking for somebody when you have neither stated it nor have you insinuated it. It's only by their assumption that they believe that you were looking for somebody. And more than likely, your dismissal of this young man led to a bit of hurt pride. And that hurt pride led out to this young man lashing out. And sadly, that is quite common. There is nothing that you did wrong, and I do not believe that you did anything wrong. And to those of you who might think otherwise, the question in that particular thought process is, where does that weakness come from? Because that is a weakness, to need someone else to add validity to your statement as well as to your wants when they are your wants. And if someone does not want to acquiesce to that, why is taking no such a detrimental answer to some people? I will never understand that, or where that weakness comes from, because that is what that is. That is what I will always view that as. The incapability of taking rejection is a weakness, because it means that you are unable to have the strength to see the reality that one person said no. Does that take away from you? Does that make you any less than? No. So why does it make people react in such a way that they think that it was such an insult to be refused, to have someone say no? Just because you made an advance doesn't mean that that advance needs to be responded to at all. No one in this world needs to do anything for you. So where does that egotism come from some people? I wonder. To me, it is not a normal thought process. So I understand why you're questioning it. Because it just seems quite obvious. If somebody says no, that's when you walk away. No means no, right? Why should it be anything else? Even if it was done facetiously, in a playful manner, if somebody says no, I see no reason to play devil's advocate in that situation to think otherwise. If that no was meant to be a yes, then eventually the one that said no will pursue, I guess. I'm not sure, to be honest, in that situation. Either way, I do apologize, I hit the mic. My rule of thumb in this situation is no means no. And it should stay with that. For anybody to get, well, for lack of a better word, in my opinion, pissy about being denied or refused is not mature enough to accept that rejection. And that in itself says volumes about that person. So, for a bit of clarity here, because I was kind of rambling in this little one, I do apologize. For some clarity in this particular situation, unapologetically single, my friend, you did not overreact. This young man has no validity. And in my opinion, this is not a normal thought process. Just because you see somebody single out there at a bar doesn't necessarily mean that they are looking for somebody. And if you get rejected when you attempt to assume so, one should not be insulted by that rejection. So, take this to heart, unapologetically single. Stay unapologetically yourself and enjoy life for what it is. Don't think that you have to sit there and be anybody for anyone that you don't want to be. Because you are amazing for who you want to be and who you are. And hold on to that. Hold on to that independence. Alright? Don't change for anybody unless you want to for yourself. That is the only change that matters. That is the only change that you should truly strive for. And you need not understand the inane egotism of others just because they are incapable of taking no for an answer. No is a sentence. And it is our strength, our power to choose whom we share our lives with, our time with, our moments with, and whom we do not. Hold on to that and never let anyone else take that from you. Alright? I hope that you found value in what I said today, even though I might have rambled just a little bit, and that what I said was helpful. Because not only are you correct in walking away, you always have the right to do so. Never think otherwise. And this goes out to everyone out there, anyone out there. You are not here for someone else. You do not need to say yes if you do not want to. And if they refuse to take your no for an answer, then walk away, because you deserve better than someone who is unwilling to respect you and refuse and dismiss your denial. You need not acquiesce to any of those people, ever. Alright? So, before we move on to the next submission, let's take a moment to see some of what I, Asian Fahzaly Gamer, do other than just Fahzaly Advice.
Well, hey there everybody, Mr. Announcer and
Random Skull?
And we're here to let you know that Asian Fahzaly Gamer also streams live on Twitch 5 days a week, and sometimes on YouTube.
And if you want to continue to support Asian Fahzaly Gamer, check out the links for his Twitch and his YouTube, all in the link tree.
That's right, check out those links. Hey there everybody, Mr. Announcer here. I want to take a moment of your time to let you know that there are ways that you can support Asian Fasha Gamer with direct donations through Cash App and PayPal. And you can make requests with these donations. They will be treated as priority requests for short-form content on YouTube and on TikTok. We thank you for your support, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Well, hey everybody! Did you know that Asian Fasha Gamer has a Patreon?
That's right, and Random Skull is here to help tell you about it.
And that's right, we're doing this announcement together.
And when you subscribe to Patreon, you get to see content early, and of course, make requests for content on YouTube, and even on Twitch and TikTok. It's all up to you!
And of course, if you want to support Asian Fasha Gamer, check out these links. And of course, there are also links in the link tree.
And remember, when you subscribe to Patreon, you can also leave a message saying that Random Skull is better than Mr. Announcer.
Now, was that even really necessary?
Alrighty then, everybody. Welcome back. Now, I hope that you enjoyed our first submission and you found value in what I said. Now, let's get on into the second submission, which is brought to us by Trying But Still Dying. This one's gonna be a little bit of a tough one. Dear Faja, I am a 63-year-old man, and recently I was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. Sadly, my doctor says my prognosis is not favorable. There are treatment options that I have at the moment to prolong the inevitable, but my doctor has shown me not only my options, but what I can do to live as pain-free as possible in the little time I have left. Currently, the only person I have shared this with is my wife, my dog, and you. My wife is telling me I need to call my kids, my brother, my sister, and all these people. Let me be frank. I don't want to do that. My son is doing his best in college and only has a year left. My daughter just recently had a daughter of her own. My brother and sister are both dealing with their own health struggles at the moment. I just can't find it in my heart to tell them about what's going on. At least not yet. So many good and bad things have happened recently. I don't feel right adding to it with my problems. I love my family, and I couldn't bear to be the reason they are distressed. It just doesn't seem fair to do that to people I love, nor do I enjoy being the center of attention. My wife is frustrated with my decision and has openly stated that she doesn't understand it, but she has to support it because it's not her place. Her struggling with this is already making me feel guilty about this whole situation. I don't know what to do right now. Nothing seems like it's right. Please help me, Faja. Sincerely, Trying But Still Dying. First off, I want to say thank you for trusting me with this particular situation. I don't know if I'm the right person for this, to be honest, but I'll do my best. I will say that this submission hits home and pretty hard because I just recently had to say goodbye. Well, I didn't have a chance to, but my father recently passed away about 2 weeks ago from cancer. And thankfully, he was able to pass while he slept. So I do apologize. This one will be a little bit difficult for me, but I'm going to do my best to help you and hopefully I will say something that is of value and is helpful. I will say that I understand your wife's frustration, but ultimately this is your decision. This is what's happening to you, and it is your life, for better or for worse. So I understand where you're coming from on a lot of points, about not wanting to burden the people that you love with your problems, about not wanting to be the center of attention because you feel guilty about being the center of attention. I understand how a lot of these things feel and how heavy they can weigh on someone, because you're somebody with a lot of compassion. I can tell in your submission here. And I think it breaks your wife's heart to see you in this position and thinking that you don't have the right to have the people that love you care about you, when that's far from the truth. To you feel like a burden, and that is a understandable but a sad place to view yourself from, because that is not what the people that love you see you as. The people who love you see you for you, and they want the chance to be there for you through the worst times, through the best times, because it's not a burden to them. It's not a burden to the people who love you to be there for you, to hear that you are going through the tough times, because they love you. They love you enough to want to hear it, to want to be able to be there. And it will never be a burden to the people who care about you, even if you might think so, because you care about them enough that you won't consider yourself, even though you're facing something that you shouldn't face alone. You really shouldn't. You deserve to be surrounded by the people whom love you. And I can get how uncomfortable it is being the center of attention. There's a lot of feelings that can come with that. Me personally, I have an issue with that in a lot of regards, because being at the center of attention can make me feel guilty if I'm not doing something, if I'm not entertaining, if I'm not adding value in a way. But when it comes to these types of things, these moments in our lives, you don't need to offer up anything for the people who love you to want to be there for you. It's not transactional. It's not a quid pro quo. You don't need to view it as you have to be able to offer them something for them to be there for you and it not be a burden. It's not an equation of equivalent exchange. That's not what it means to have people who love you and care about you. That's not what it means to them. They don't see it this way. I know you do, because it's so easy to see it this way. It's so easy to disregard yourself because it's just easier. Because then your problems are not problems. And you can continue to be compassionate without feeling like you're selfish, because you are human. But there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is that the fact that you feel selfish for being human. that shame should never exist. We feel, we are sad, we feel pain, we suffer, we feel happiness, we feel joy, we feel lust, we feel so many things, and it's all part of being alive. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. Emotions are not harmful. It's how we express them that can be. But the more we hide them, the more we deny them, the more we view them in just a negative connotation, the easier it is for it to get out of control. The easier it is for it to just be disregarded when it shouldn't be. And it leads into a feeling of, I am ashamed to feel, when you shouldn't. I get it. I get it. You don't want to be the cause of suffering. But they are not suffering because of you when you tell, if you choose and when you choose to tell them. They are suffering because they love, because they care. And that comes from an ironically beautiful place. And it's not a burden. It never was. It never will be. And you don't have any need to feel guilty. Why? Because life happened? Nothing you did led, well, you did not intentionally walk on a path that led to an affliction that would take your life. And even so, it's all excusable because you're human. You didn't harm others. You didn't set out to harm anyone. This hit you. Cancer hit you. It happened. It didn't happen because of you. It happened. And I think one of the hardest things about situations like this, especially for people who are logical, who have this thought process in such a almost linear fashion, which it seems like that's the way that you think in certain regards. And this is an assumption, of course. But that thought process is heavy. It is. And it leads to you blinding yourself to some of the more important things. And it hurts the people around you to see you think that you don't matter. Because you do. You always have. That's why they love you. And you should give them the chance to continue to do so, through the good times and the bad times. It's not easy. It's not gonna be easy. Facing a lot of this won't. And I don't think the weight of all of it's hit you yet. And that's okay. Take the time that you need. Don't push yourself to do anything that you're not ready to do. But don't wait too long. Because the people who care about you want to be there. In every moment, in every chance that they can. And to them, it is never a burden. It is not something that they do to fulfill some obligation. It's because they want to love and be there. Give them that chance, as much as it can hurt. It's more often than not something that you need more than you will allow yourself to admit it. And you need not feel ashamed. There's nothing wrong with wanting love. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be cared about. To continue to shame yourself for feeling that, you're only hurting yourself. And you're hurting the people that love you, because they don't want to see you think that. No one who cares about you wants you to think that caring about you is a burden, because it never is. And I repeat myself in this regard because I hope that this hits true. I do. I know that life has handed you a very unfortunate card. But I do hope with the time that you have, you see light and joy with the people that you love and that love you. And I thank you for your submission, truly. And I hope that what I said today has given value to someone in some way. Thank you all so very much. But it's time for the love train to be rolling on through. Choo choo. I love every single freaking one of you.
Well, everybody, that's the end of Fahzaly Advice. I hope you did enjoy this episode and you found some value in what I said. And of course, if you are interested in participating, if you need some advice or some perspective, feel free to email the address at the end of this part. And remember, all submissions are 100% anonymous. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Need some perspective? Need some advice? Want your submission read on podcast? Well, email Fahza at fahzalyadvice@gmail.com. And remember, all submissions are 100% anonymous unless requested upon.